let's talk about some solutions. And I think on that one, I mean, something that we realized is that as we were doing some of this research with Leopoldo and Astrid, I mean, I really felt the necessity to share all of these ideas, discussions that we were having with the rest. Now, Astrid, she's the one been doing all the numbers. If someone knows actually how the system will respond and so on, and the different strategies, that's you. Not to put you on the spot, but if you can tell us, so what are the solutions?
There is no single solution to this problem, definitely. But what we know is that the combination of strategies to manage the water demands for all users can help us. No, that's for sure. For example, for the Mexicali Valley, the main user, I think the most convenient option is to reduce the irrigated areas, either by resting lands or by gradually replacing some forage crops with less water demanding and more economically profitable crops. And obviously this change should be carried out hand to hand with the farmers and in a transparent way. Because the management of the Colorado River has been criticized by the lack of involvement of the farmers and also the native people in the lower Colorado basin. And yeah, it's necessary to have like organized structures to deal with this challenge in time, I mean right now, and with the right participation.
Yeah, and also, I mean, so that is one portion, Mexicali Valley. But I mean, Leopoldo, you've been doing or been thinking about some solutions for the municipalities, all the cities along the coast.
Yes, and you know, the main cities in Baja California, Mexicali, Tijuana, and Ensenada, they produce a large amount of wastewater, obviously, no, after it goes through the city. And this wastewater, once treated, can be used in a very efficient way. And just like in California, no, it can be used for the irrigation of crops, you know, or the irrigation of plants that are not going to be eaten by people. And this is one of the things that I think we need to pursue, so that we exchange with the farmers. We send them back treated wastewater that they can use for irrigation, and instead they send to the city some of the rights of their groundwater or Colorado River water allocation. Okay, this would be very helpful for the whole system. Again, as I said, this is not something new. This has been done in California and in many other places in the world. So we just need to learn from those examples, you know, and try to apply it in Mexico and Baja California. The other thing that we could do is use also the treated wastewater for groundwater recharge. Again, in California, Los Angeles and Orange County, they have been doing it for many years. We could do it in Mexicali. We could do it in Ensenada for the valleys of Maneadero and Guadalupe. And Tijuana does not have agricultural land or aquifers nearby, but it could send its wastewater to the east to some irrigation in the east part of Tijuana. So I'm a great, you know, supporter of reuse, of water reuse, but it has to be made responsibly. What do I mean by that? I mean that we have to have the technical information that can support these decisions. And unfortunately, one of the things that have happened here in Baja California, but generally in Mexico, is that water management has not been based on science data, but mostly on political reasons. And also because the political timing is very different, you know, from natural cycles, most of the plans are, they want to have immediate results, you know, and we need really to plan things in water management in medium and long-term periods of time. So I think that unless we change this approach, things are not going to improve in Baja California. But again, I want to be optimistic, and I want to believe that we are going to learn from our past, you know, failures, and that in the next years we are going to be basing our water management decisions solely on science and technical data instead of political reasons.
And in this one, you're okay. So we have on Valle de Mexicali, on Mexicali Valley, we have a reduction in water demand through different means, following the land, or reduction on the areas, resting some of the areas, changing the crop pattern, sometimes irrigation efficiencies. We are talking about increasing the efficiency in certain municipalities. I don't know, we're also talking reuse of water. So it is, we are putting upfront a good amount of strategies, a portfolio. Also, you're mentioning aquifer recharge, and many of these things are already happening. I mean, in this case, some of our the people watching this might be like, well, you know, this is normal. Well, it is normal in certain parts of the world, but it is not normal in other ones. Something also to mention is that in all of these strategies, it's not that we're putting upfront desalinization, the desal plants. And that one is something that I know it may help, but I mean, it is, I don't think we should start for the most expensive option, right? And one that will have some environmental consequences. Now, we were talking about I mean, again, if someone has done some of this, is you, Astrid. When you're thinking about reductions on the water allocation, so how you're seeing that, how things will get better or worse when we're doing all these reductions and climate change, how you're seeing those predictions?
Okay, so we talked already about how sensitive is Mexicali Valley with these reductions. So there's a strong relation between all the different water cuts with the reliability that we have of the resources. So as the reduction increase, we have a linearly decrease in the volumetric reliability. And the truth is that the projections, to reach like these levels of reduction are very high for 2025. This is just around the corner. So we can expect further reductions in the future. And so we must act right now.
Yeah, and I think here also the message is that it is not one solution, right? So here we have, I mean, I think we must act, and then the other one, I don't want to steal the thunder, but you mentioned something very important. It has to be done by everyone. This is not just one. And I mean, here we are making this publicly because, I mean, we're seeing the need. The three of us here, we've been discussing this for the last, 3 years? And we are just really entering a different state. We know that, I mean, the predictions, how do the predictions look for Lake Mead?
Decrease in the elevation.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, that is a no-brainer. We know that is happening.
There are low possibilities to increase the elevation on Lake Mead.
And that one also goes to what, I don't know, I mean, something that I find, again, when we're seeing this in perspective, so yes, some of those savings will give it back as water becomes more available, But the reality is that reaching some of those levels, or it will be less frequent. I don't know. I do think that this is a wake-up call, or perhaps what we have seen, the three of us want to share, is that this is a wake-up call. We have seen it. I don't know, Leopoldo. I don't know. You being and Astrid, the two of you have been working on this basin for a lot of time. How do you see the current situation, or what are the things that we're entering? What can we do?
As I said before, I mean, I think we really need to base our decisions on scientific and technical data. You know, we have to, if it is not available, we have to generate it. I mean, we are academics, and probably, you know, the government people are going to argue that we are always, you know, wanting to get funds for our research. But this is not the case. I mean, this research, or whatever we do, it's to generate the data to make these decisions. If we don't have it, then I think that I mean, the possibility of making bad decisions increases. And an example, as we were mentioning just before, is some of the measures, you know, exploited or mentioned by the SILA or the IBWC are the building of desalination plants in the Sea of Cortez. Okay, so that sounds really, really, you know,
Alarming.
It is
alarming. Exactly, yeah, because Sea of Cortez, they want to build these desalination plants in places where there is basically no infrastructure, no roads, no energy, nothing like that, and they want to build these plants there and then pump through pipes the desalinated water to Mexicali and even to the USA. So, I mean, more than 200 kilometers away, okay? So can you imagine the amount of energy, you know, and the carbon footprint for these systems? So I'm afraid that if we as academics do not raise our hands, you know, signaling these things, you know, contradictions, you know, between the governments of both countries, I mean, these decisions or bad decisions could be still made. So I think we need really to be alert and to be having this kind of conversation with the public, you know, and in social media, so that the people interested in these things have more information available so that they can make their own decisions about the process.
that one. I mean, to be perfectly transparent. So we went from a Colorado River that used to receive a delta that it was thriving to no water reaching the Colorado Delta to just less. So 5% of the 1% of the water that used to reach the Delta now reaches the Delta. So the pulse is just less than 1% of what used to be, to now taking water out of the Sea of Cortez to pump it back.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if you're seeing this trend, but it is very alarming. It is like, where are we going? That, and then I don't know, the reasoning or the philosophy that, you know, the problem is not that I use water or that the system is already over designed because now we're using more water than it's supposed to. That is not the problem. The problem is, where can I get the water? And that is as alarming, because I mean, we have in the hypothetical case, so all of the strategies that we've talked here, I mean, this is nothing radical. We have seen it also in governmental documents when they are actually kind of mentioning this. But a desalination plant in there, it is again, it's just kind of chasing the water, chasing the most expensive water with a high environmental impact. I will do the same. let's actually plan the opposite, and let's plan to build a desalination plant on the USA, do some of that, and then send us the water and leave all the environmental damages there. I don't think it's a good idea, and that's why it's so alarming. That's why you see our three faces like, man, we cannot. I don't know.
It means that we haven't learned the lesson yet, you know, and the lesson is that we have to do more to administrate better water and not creating like these new sources of water that are only going to bring more problems.
And also, I think we need a constant monitoring of the water quality and quantity, because, I mean, we cannot manage water if we don't know precisely how much water we have, how that is used in a sustainable way.
Yeah, the monitoring. The one other thing, and just again, it may sound different, but this is not against. I think you, Leopoldo, have pointed out pretty well. It is not that all the people in the 7 states of the Colorado Basin and Mexico, or it is not all the farmers. Here, the reality is a call for either authorities, decision makers, and also to the society to listen to some of this and say like, hey, wait a minute, this is happening in all our watch. All of us that we're living here and that we know this, it is happening on our watch, and we know that it is not. It should be discussed a little bit more publicly. Anyway, the one other thing that this is not only against Mexican cities or U.S. citizens. I do think that I don't know, some of the message that the two of you are putting here is really important, which is based on science, and then hear from Astrid that is let's work together, let's include the society, let's make this together, because I don't see that we are this is just the first year, or this is just the first part of the period where we're going to be seeing more cuts and so on. So anyway, a word of positivity. I think we can do it. We're a good time. We have to discuss this openly. I don't want to say thanks, Leopoldo, Astrid. I did express it correctly. Since working with the two of you, I've learned quite a lot about the Colorado River. It is a fascinating place. It's a beautiful place, and we want to keep it thriving. So thanks a lot. Muchas gracias.
Thanks to you guys. See you soon.
Nos vemos.
Bye.
Adiós.